Okay, welcome back again. This is clip number 7 in this series. And as I've said before, the career that I chose was in teaching. And it's very, very interesting because it was my dad who helped me kind of direct me into suggesting that I go into teaching. And so you're either a person of Icelandic descent who does things with horses, ranching, fishing, deep sea fishing or fishing on lakes in Manitoba or whatever the case may be, or you're one of those persons that gets into writing, teaching, schools, governance, and things like that. I'm very, very involved politically and with governments as well. I've been in government organizations even when I taught up in northern Manitoba for a while. And so that's one thing that's ongoing and constant, still involved with governments today, and just making sure that points relative to the public are in there as well. And so teaching, when I think back about my teaching career, I would never ever change or think that I went into the wrong career, or think, oh, I should have done something different, I should have done something better. And that concept never comes up into my mind. I've got so many experiences that I've had in my teaching career, and hopefully in a video, YouTube kind of situation, maybe I can share some of those one day, but just absolutely fantastic things. Working with young people, working with kids, encouraging them, and seeing the process of how they grow and grow up. And when we think about schools, there's many different ways to look at schools and to talk about schools, and even fish know about schools because they swim together in what we call schools of fish. And I know that kind of maybe sounds a little bit funny or strange or whatever, but it's fact. They gather together. And one of the things that they do in gathering together, it's a safety aspect too. If you travel together in a group or a herd or any group of people or any number of people, there's a certain amount of safety involved in numbers. Okay, so when we think about schools, we think about regular schools. We think about like I never went to kindergarten. There was no kindergarten when I started school. I started teaching when I was 20 years old, up at Bertle, Manitoba, and I had one boy in a grade 12 class. Well, my birthday is in November, so when I started teaching at 20, I was 21 2 months after, okay? But I had one boy in my classroom in a grade 12 class, okay, who was 20 as well, and I thought, oh wow. And the kids were busy all year trying to find out how old I was and where I got my education and all of that sort of thing. So it was kind of a neat thing for them to be challenged to do that during the year. But schools are in place to educate. They are structures that are put in there by society to allow people to go through these processes. We can short form it and say the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic. If you don't have some of those foundations, you're not going to progress too much. There are standards that are required out there in society for grade levels for various jobs and occupations, and the more complicated ones that you go into, medical, lawyers, or whatever the case may be, they require certain standards be met and certain grade levels be met. And so that is also an interesting part of the whole school system. But the school system doesn't just start or stop there. It's involved in all kinds of sports, like sporting schools, teaching, whether it's skating or hockey or badminton or baseball or whatever. There's school aspects involved in all of this stuff. Even in military training, there's schools and teaching processes that people go through. Flying, aircraft flying and things like that. It's incredible if we stopped and thought about the number of school situations that exist in society. It's mind-boggling because basically everything that we do involves some sort of training process or going through processes to allow certain standards to be made and we reach certain objectives in our lives. Okay, then there's a school that often we run into, and hopefully it's not by accident or by doing something really silly and get you, into hospitals or seriously injured or whatever the case may be. But I call it the school of hard knocks. And so when I say it that way, we all know about the school of hard knocks, and sometimes very, very valuable lessons that we learn in life only come the hard way and through experiences that all of a sudden cause us to think a little bit differently about the choices that we've made or the things that we do or whatever. And even that gets into the area of obeying or disobeying the laws of the land as well. And so the school of hard knocks is a school also to be reckoned with in a very, very serious way.